Hi, boys and girls. Today we are multiplying fractions, just continuing to multiply fractions. We are still in our Module 1 through 9 book. We are on page 209. And it says, I can solve problems involving the multiplication of a whole number or a fraction by a fraction. So really what we're practicing is everything we've been learning. So we are practicing doing our whole numbers and fractions and fractions and fractions. Now always keep in mind what makes sense for your answer to be. Like we've said, we know if we're multiplying a whole number by a fraction or by something smaller than 1, then we're going to get something smaller than that whole number. And so just keep things like that in mind. Alright, so let's start looking at this. An annual fundraiser raised 4/5 of the amount of money in 2017 as it did in 2018. $5,000 was raised in 2018. How much money was raised in 2017? Alright, so again, they raised $5,000 in 2018. Writing it out just kind of helps me keep my thoughts. Then we did 4/5 of 5,000 in 2017. So in which year do you think more was raised? If we found 4/5 of 5,000, I know this is a fraction smaller than 1, so I know that's going to be less than 5,000. So more money, I know, has to be raised in 2018 because 4/5 of 5,000 will be less than 5,000. Because we're multiplying by a fraction smaller than 1. Write an equation to model the problem. So 4/5 of 5,000, or 4/5 times 5,000. Okay? Solve the equation. 4 times 5,000 divided by 5 equals R. That sounds very confusing, but it's not. How does this equation compare to your equation from part B? Okay. So let's look at it. I'm going to write it kind of bigger over here. Alright. So you can look at this two ways. Remember, we know that when we're multiplying, we've noticed the pattern that we can multiply our numerators and our denominators. Technically, we can write our fraction. You can make any number into a fraction if you put it on top of 1, because anything divided by 1 will still be that number. So 5,000 divided by 1 is still 5,000. We haven't changed the value of it. So this is saying, alright, say 4 times 5,000, you'd get 20,000. And then we've got our 5 on the bottom, 5 times 1. So that gives us 20,000 over 5. And then 20,000 divided by 5, because we know a fraction is a division problem, is going to give us 4,000. Another way that I do this is I look at it and I say, okay, I know a fraction is a division problem. I've got 5,000. My fraction tells me I divided that in 5 parts. I know that's 1,000. I have 4 of those parts. That's 4,000. That's the way that I prefer to do it, because I like to look at that fraction as what it is. Okay, I had this much. This means I divided it in 5 parts, but I have 4 of those. Nothing wrong with doing it this way. Either way that makes sense to you, I want you to do that. So we know that $4,000 was raised in 2017. Just like we predicted, it's going to be less because we found a fraction of that amount. Okay, let's turn the page. It says a soccer team is having a fundraiser. Of the items they are selling, 3/4 are gift cards. 2/3 of the gift cards are restaurant gift cards. So they've got a fundraiser. 3/4 are gift cards. And then 2/3 of the gift cards are for restaurants. What fraction of the items they're selling are restaurant gift cards? So remember, 3/4 are gift cards, 2/3 of them. We're finding a fraction of this number. So it says write an equation. 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 3 is 12. That means half of those. This asks, well, how could you have done a visual model? Well, let's just draw one. Let's represent 3/4. And then 2/3 of that. So now I'm going to put it in thirds. And I'm going to do 2 of those thirds. They overlap right here. That's 6 of them out of my 4, 8, 12, which still shows me a half. All right. Let's come down here and just do some work. Okay, so just like I told you a minute ago, we can do problems like this 2 ways. You can stick that 1 under there because we haven't changed the value, and then 3 times 16, I don't know, so I got to work it out, is 48. So you get 48 over 8. We know a fraction is a division problem. 48 divided by 8 is 6. Okay, another way you could do this. All right, I have 16. I divided it into 8 groups. I know 16 divided by 8 is 2. I have 3 of those groups. 2 times 3 is 6. Might seem a little funny, but that's the way my brain kind of works it. If that does not make sense to you, then do not do it. Don't get confused. 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 5 is 10. I can't simplify that, so my answer is going to be 3/10. Remember, we're finding half of 3/5. We're finding a fraction of this fraction. We know it's going to be a smaller fraction. Same here. Put our 1 under it. 4/3. So we're finding 1/3 of 4. So I know it's going to be less than 4. 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over. That gives me 1 1/3. So that is taking my 4, splitting it into 3 parts, and you have one of those parts. Okay? Alright, let's do a couple more on this page and then we'll stop. This is 211. Does the order of the factors change the product? Now we can probably think about that now. When we multiply, does the order of the factors matter? Let's say 5 times 6, what's that? 30. 6 times 5, still 30. We can multiply in any order and it's not going to change that. But let's prove it. 18 times 3, let's work it out right here, 24. That gives me 54 over 8. 54. How many times will 8 go into 54? Let's think. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 7, 56. 8 times 6 is 48. So it goes in there 6 times with 6 left over, 6 and 6/8, which is also 6 3/4. Let's do it this way. 3 times 18, still going to be 54. Divided by 8, still going to give me my 6 3/4. So no, it does not change the product or the answer. All right. So do your best on that. And if you have any questions, let me know.